You may remember this man. His name is George Zinn. Immediately after Charlie Kirk was shot, he stood up and shouted, "I did it! I'm the killer." So obviously, the police put him in handcuffs, they arrested him, and they hauled him off to the local jail. Well, they ended up releasing him because it turned out that he wasn't the killer. But new information has since come out. First of all, he's confessed that he shouted all of this to help the shooter escape. Yeah, this was on purpose. He was trying to distract law enforcement. And then on top of all of that, there is sketchy and creepy personal details that are either a just jarring and like what in the world sort of coincidence with what we know about Tyler Robinson, or it fits a larger pattern of extremism on the left. So, the reason we now know all of this is because of a press release that came out from the Utah County Sheriff's Office. At the very top, arrest and booking of George Zinn for obstruction of justice and possession of child sex abuse material. Now, before I even go into the rest of this press release, the fact that he had child sex abuse material. Look, I'm not going to claim that every single person in the transgender community is a child sex abuser. You're going to have abusers in every single demographic, so I want to be very clear about that. I don't want to be canceled by the left or called out and targeted by Media Matters, so let's get that very straight. But what are the odds here, right? Because what we know about Tyler Robinson, what we know about his motivations, they were related to sex, they were related to transgenderism, he had fascinations with the furry community, and many other things that people consider perverse. So, what are the odds, with all of that being said, that this older guy who shouted on purpose to distract the police and prevent them from catching this killer also is a pervert? I mean, again, it could just be a coincidence, or is it possible? One of the things I'm really interested in following now as this case unfolds, and one of the things that I will be looking out for, was that old guy part of these Discord chats? A lot of people use usernames. A lot of people use avatars. They don't put their face on there. So we don't know the identity of all of these people in these various chat rooms. Is it possible that this older guy was part of one of these chats, and these chats were, again, furry, trans, just all the things? Maybe this guy was part of them, he knew it, and that's why he was there. I mean, what are the odds that in the immediate aftermath of such a horrific event, you not only have someone in the crowd who sympathizes with the shooter and cheers on what he's doing, but is actually willing to be the fall guy? I mean, I personally believe those are astronomical odds, and then you again consider his perversions. It either there's a connection, or he fits into a larger trend of just perversion and all of these crazy things leading people to become radicalized and committing a lot of violence. Now, going back to this press release here, this second box. Shortly after that shooting occurred, and while people were fleeing the area, Zinn was seen yelling that he had shot Charlie Kirk. UVU police took Zinn into custody and transported him to the UVU police department. At that time, Zinn was not cooperative with law enforcement and did not want to speak with investigators. And it turned out he had a medical issue, so they ended up bringing him to the local hospital. And when he was at the hospital, FBI agents were there. They spoke with him, and he admitted, the second sentence in the third box, Zinn admitted that he had yelled that he was the shooter to allow the actual suspect to flee and to hinder law enforcement. During this interview, the agents asked to look at Zinn's phone, and Zinn agreed. And so it was in this process, when they were looking at his phone, that they found all of this child sex abuse material. They ended up finding over 20 images of children as young as 5 years old, 5 to 12 years old. So very disgusting, just gross. So he's currently held in a Utah County jail for second felony obstruction of justice and second felony sexual exploitation of a minor, and 4 counts of that. So I guess 2 points I would like to make in all of this. Number one, there is a possibility. Again, I'm not claiming that it's likely, but we have to consider all the possibilities, and this is going to be a story that I'm going to be following for quite a while. But was it possible that he was in one of these Discord groups or the Steam chat room and knew about this in advance, and that's why he was there? I think we need to look into every possibility. And the FBI yesterday, they came out, said that over 20 people are under investigation now. They're going after users in those groups, and they're basically leaving no stone unturned. The second point I would like to make is that even if he is not connected with this, it is really disturbing to me, number one, that he would do that willingly, just like let's say he had no idea that this was going to happen. For someone to have a gut knee-jerk reaction of, oh, I'm going to take the fall for this guy so he can get away and distract law enforcement. First of all, I think that says a lot about the decay of society and just how awful things have gotten, just the downfall of mankind. And then number two, it really speaks to this kind of perversion that, for whatever reason, is attracting the left. Maybe perverse people become leftists, or maybe the left, like, again, I'm not claiming all leftists are perverts, but it just really is interesting because when you think in terms of police work, they have profiles of your typical suspects. Whenever there's a certain type of crime, they think about, hey, what is the usual profile for the perpetrator? That's not to say that only that kind of person can commit that crime, but usually they fit into this box, and a pattern is clearly emerging here. It's also important to note that George Zinn has actually been on the local law enforcement's radar for the last few years. According to the local news, a man who prosecutors say asked Salt Lake City Marathon organizers if he could help set up bombs at the finish line now faces a criminal charge. So George Zinn is now currently over 70 years old. At the time this was written, you can see he's 59, so over a decade ago, he ended up telling investigators he didn't mean anything by it when he sent an email. This was shortly after the marathon bombing in Boston, so definitely not funny. And, you know, to say that you're going to help set up bombs at this marathon, just, it's not anything to joke about, and it really tells you maybe what mindset he's in. I think personally it shows a lot of hatred in his heart, and also it's rare that people maintain stasis for a long period of time in terms of their beliefs. Usually people either grow more firm in their beliefs, grow more extremist in this case, or they change their beliefs. They're exposed to new ideas, new facts, and they reevaluate. So the fact that he was joking about bombing marathons over a decade ago, I have a hard time believing that he was just staying at a baseline level. If anything, he probably became more extreme over the last decade. Well, the good news in all of this is that more and more Democrats, more and more left-wingers are speaking out against their fellow left-wingers for the hatred in their own hearts. Like, it's very obvious, like the right is calling them out, but it's a completely different thing when people on your own side are calling you out. So on Piers Morgan Uncensored, Destiny, who is a live streamer, was on there. Several of you, I'm sure many of you are actually familiar with Destiny because Destiny is a huge channel here on YouTube with over 700 million views. But anyways, Ana Kasparian of the Young Turks actually called him out. This was a great watch.
I don't understand you, Destiny. You have so much hatred in your heart, and at the same time, you
it's
judge
such a simple thing.
others
If you're
as
going to
hateful.
weaponize somebody's grief against the other party, well, then of course people have a right to fight back against it. I think that she has every right to grieve in whatever way she wants, but when that grief is going to be weaponized to do recruitment, political recruitment.
I should have explained before this started, but they're talking about Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk's widow.
And further radicalization of the other side, then of course you not only have the ability to mock it, I think you have the obligation to mock it. It's insane.
Let me understand. Let me understand your argument. So since others are using her grief to politically recruit, you think that it's okay to mock her specifically?
Since others are using her grief, she's the one who gave a 17-minute speech on TV where she talked about good versus evil. She's the one showing up in
Destiny,
TPUSA ads to 1 or 2 days after.
If someone assassinated my husband, I would not be able to have the level of composure she had during that speech. I would be out for blood. I understand why she's angry and why she said the things that she said. Okay, you need to understand what being a human is, what it's like to actually lose someone that you love, that you chose to spend your life with, that you chose to raise children with, a person who was violently and viciously assassinated like that. This is why I've moved away
and when something
identifying as
you got bullied online. It's so funny. It's so funny that you just
so
said that you don't think
left.
about how other people act to define your behavior. Your entire political ideology now is somehow defined by the people that were mean to you on Twitter.
No,
if somebody
it's
cares
not.
about somebody who's
No,
grieving,
I understood
then you tell that
what
person,
the flaws
you
on
tell
the
that
left
person,
happen to
hey,
be. The
maybe you
weakness
should
in their
step back
arguments.
for a couple of
No,
weeks.
no, it's
Maybe
not
you should
about
take
the
some
way
time
I
to
get
grieve.
treated.
You don't
I get
say,
treated
hey, let's
like
throw a
crap from
camera in
both
front
sides
of
of
you
the
and have
political
you do
aisle.
mass recruitment for our political party while everyone over here is calling for civil war. It's unhinged. When you've got people like Matt Walsh of the Daily Wire and the
we're
president
talking
of the
to
United
a
States
guy
calling
who
for
said
civil
he'd be
war.
okay with his own parents getting killed if they went to that Trump rally where that assassination attempt
and we're talking
happened.
to a
There's
woman
no
who went
reasoning
on and
with
did
you,
the whole
Destiny.
conservative media
There's
outlet with
there's
Tucker
no
Carlson
reasoning
and
with
Glenn
you.
Beck.
Now, the reason I wanted to specifically talk about this is because Destiny, like I said, is here on YouTube, just a massive channel. It currently has 847,000 subscribers, over 3.4 thousand videos, and like I said, 700 million views, is on various platforms. And there are now calls that are being led by Elon Musk to be thrown into jail because he's openly calling for the assassination of conservatives everywhere. Take a look at this. This was from one of his recent streams right around the time of that interview.
About the crime statistics?
Not exactly like
You need conservatives to be afraid of getting killed when they go to events so that they look to their leadership to turn down the temperature. The issue is right now, they don't feel like there's any fear. Like, I don't know. It's like memes. It's just memes to everybody, I guess. I don't know, bro. I don't know. I don't care. I'm playing video games. Okay, I'm done today. I don't give a fuck. God, it's gonna be so fucking gay if I get killed in the next 2 months of shit I'm doing. Well, the cuck shit out here. Please don't anybody make any actual the most cucked weak speeches on my side. God, if it happens, holy shit, I'm gonna make a death note before I go out to go live and not. God, it's so cucked. It's so optics cucked.
Now, I don't know about you, but to me, if someone is openly saying to hundreds of millions of viewers, almost 1 million subscribers, that conservatives should be afraid of being killed, of going out in public, to me, that sounds like incitement of violence. And what's even worse is, I mean, it's bad in the first place for it to be targeting officials and leaders like Charlie Kirk, but for it to be everyone? That's really scary. That is really disgusting, really grotesque. Elon Musk, like I mentioned, has spoken out about this. He posted, "I don't think this jerk-off should be banned, but Amazon should stop paying him to incite murder." That's insane. Separately, incitement to murder and domestic terrorism is a felony crime. For that, he should go to prison. He can resume streaming when he has served his term. I agree with all of that. To me, that definitely sounded like an incitement of violence, and I hope that the FBI has since been notified of that post. Well, Pam Bondi is now under fire for claiming that hate speech is not part of free speech. But before we get into that, I would like to acknowledge the members of today's Governor's Club. Glenda Stucker, always great to see you. Bama Ridenour, Steph S. David Messner, thank you, very gracious of you. J.M. Tarina Smith, Jessica V. Stacy L., great to see you always as well. And Jessica, too, obviously. Leslie Colt, PL times 3, and Pole Pop Productions. Thank you so much. These are people who give tips and super thanks to the channel. I'm so glad that you enjoy. And again, for all the new viewers, I'm so glad that you're here. Now, this is what Pam Bondi said that has her under hot water from even the conservatives and many in the Republican Party.
There's free speech and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie, in our society.
Do you see more law enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people so we show them that some action is better than no action?
We will absolutely target you, go after you, if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything. And that's across the aisle.
What's really ironic is Pam Bondi is obviously saying this in the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's assassination, but Kirk himself actually spoke out about this. He tweeted in 2024, hate speech does not legally exist in America. There's ugly speech, there's gross speech, there's evil speech, and all of it is protected by the First Amendment. Keep America free. Glenn Beck has spoken out. There's no such thing as hate speech. There's speech that leads directly to violence, and that has to be stopped. But punishing hate speech is how you end up like England. Matt Walsh from the Daily Wire. Between this hate speech nonsense and Epstein, Pam Bondi has committed 2 of the most egregious errors we've ever seen from an attorney general. How many seismic F-ups will Trump permit before he cuts her loose? Is this a 10 strikes and you're out deal, or what? And last but not least, Dave Rubin, unbelievably bad take by Bondi, worthy of an immediate resignation of an attorney general. Hate speech does not exist. You can say mean things about people. We have very specific limitations, such as direct calls for violence, but amorphous hate speech does not exist. Charlie would never want this. And to be honest, I agree with all of them 100%. Like, one of the examples I come back to is like racism. I think racism is ugly. I think it's nasty, but people have the right to say those racist things. And I also have the right, because I have free speech, to criticize them, to speak out against them, to choose not to associate, do business, hire, like all of those things, right? As long as we live in a civilized society. Now, there are limitations to free speech. For example, one of the obvious ones is you can't slander someone. You can't libel someone. That's why we we see defamation lawsuits. But, and like, by the way, when it comes to defamation lawsuits, especially when it comes to public figures, there are very high bars, very high standards to set. So it's not like it's easy to manipulate that system. And then on the other side, you can't incite violence. You can't talk about your premeditated plans. And part of that is because if you think about it, murder is already illegal. It's morally wrong. That's already in our legal framework. And so speech that could contribute to something that is already illegal, already morally wrong, and would be destructive to our society, it makes sense that you can't incite people to violence, that you can't post your plans or your intentions online. So that's, I believe, where the limitation stops. And, I'd love to hear from you. I'd be interested to know what you think. Should hate speech, should nasty, ugly speech be protected? Or do you agree with Pam Bondi that the weight of the federal government now needs to tap down on it? Let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments below. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, by the way, was asked about this, and he gave a pretty forceful yet respectful rebuke.
Well, I mean, I approach this as a former litigator who defended free speech in the courts for a couple of decades. We defended religious freedom and speech that some people deemed to be inappropriate. Look, in America, it's a very important part of our tradition that we do not, this is a conservative principle, and certainly an American principle, we do not censor and silence disfavored viewpoints. People in America are allowed to say crazy things. Now, that said, if I'm an employer or I'm a government agency and I have someone in my employ who is online celebrating the heinous murder of an innocent person, a young husband and father, I can make the decision that they don't deserve to work for me. They shouldn't represent my company or my agency. And I have every right to do that, and I think that's appropriate. That's not the government censoring speech. That's personal behavior and decorum, and you have a right to enforce that. So I don't think it's a violation of core principles for people to have appropriate measures taken when they act like crazy people online, and that's up to the employers and these private businesses and these the people who make those decisions. That's not something that Congress is involved in. But I mean, I think all of that is intellectually consistent, and we'll continue to defend it.
I don't know about you, but when Mike Johnson first became Speaker of the very House, I was very hesitant. I was very unsure about him. I don't know what it is. It's like a flip switch, and all of a sudden, I'm just on board. I like everything it's just, I thought that every note there was pitch perfect. And he made a great point. There is a difference between the free market, and that's what's already happened, right? When all these people have been getting fired and suspended because of the terrible things they posted online in the immediate aftermath of Charlie Kirk's death. That wasn't the federal government cracking down. That wasn't like big tech algorithms. No, that was the free market. Those were private employers, big businesses deciding, hey, this is what we're going to do because we don't want this person representing us. And quite frankly, if you think about it, that makes sense. For a physician, especially a pediatrician, to be cheering on death, does the hospital really trust her to look after the well-being of their patients? If a teacher is celebrating death and showing videos of the assassination to students, do you really want that teacher teaching the children in your community? And so I think it is intellectually consistent, and I think he made a great point there. There's a difference when citizens do it and do it peacefully versus the federal government cracking down. As always, though, just my analysis, just my commentary. That's what's going on in the world of politics from my point of view, and I would love to hear from you. So whose side are you on here? Do you agree with Pam Bondi that we need to crack down on hate speech, or do you like Speaker Johnson's take where, hey, we have the free First Amendment, you can say whatever you want, and let the market, let people, let society take care of it instead of just growing the government? Let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments below. If you haven't already, please be sure to leave me a thumbs up. I know it's a simple thing to ask for, but it really does help me reach more viewers like you in the algorithm. Be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out one of these videos.